Okay, so welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit. We're back, baby. It's a new year, a new decade, and we're back. Before we get into our kind of, hi, how's it going? Well, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors of the month. This month is Gin Different. Gin Different are going to be sponsoring us this month. Darren was supposed to come in and speak to us this morning. And how dare he have such a hectic life that he couldn't come speak to us? People running a business, you're supposed to have more time, aren't you? But thank you to Gin Different who are sponsoring us this month. If you are a fan of gin, if you're not a fan of gin, make sure you check them out because they've got loads of different things you can taste and test. And I did a gin. I'm not a gin guy. I don't know if you've ever tried gin.
I like gin.
You like gin, yeah?
I'm a gin guy.
You need to go to Gin Different then, in the market hall.
I'm not. And I went to the gin tasting thing around Christmas, and it was brilliant. He was making me drinks that taste like Turkish delight and Christmas pudding and all. I was like, what is this? But yeah, it's really cool. It's good fun. So make sure you check out Gin Different, and they do all sorts. If there's that bottle of gin that you can't find in Asda or Tesco's or something, they'll go and find it for you, and you can buy it from them. So that's what that is. So yes, we are back. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joined with me is a cake-eating... is Julie. How's it going, Julie? You okay?
I'm fine. I'm very chilled because I've just been in a flotation tank for an hour.
Yeah, tell me a bit about this because that's really interesting. You've been in,
Shropshire Floats.
Shropshire Floats.
They opened up yesterday.
Yeah.
I got a Christmas present, which is a 3-float session. So it's 45 minutes of pure floating, 15 minutes, like obviously where you can get showered, but it is so... You just float in lots of salt, but it's better than the Red Sea, apparently. It's not, you don't come out sort of thinking, I'm all salty. A bit of calming music, different lights, and then they all fade, and then you just float.
So it's sensory deprivation.
And fall asleep, yeah, and it's brilliant. Relieves all sorts of things, apparently.
I think of that, and I think of Stranger Things, because they did that in Stranger Things. She's flotation tank, and then she was like... Yeah. Anyway, that sounds really great. I'm really intrigued by that, because there's some people I've heard that have had like out-of-body experiences and stuff, doing stuff like that, so...
I didn't.
No?
Not this time. Maybe next.
Joining with us today is Ben Butler. Ben, I read your story in the Shropshire Star.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on with you. Let me just turn you up a bit because you're a bit quiet. There we go. I've heard a lot about you because...
Can I pinch a sweet?
You can pinch it.
Take as many as you like.
What flavour is that? Is that caramel or something?
No, it's like a, minto type. Yeah, buttery.
I'll have that one.
Humbug, yeah. This is the ultimate test for me, okay? So I've just started doing the keto diet. It's day number 1 for me. I'm sitting here drinking coffee without sugar. I had 3 rashers of bacon for breakfast. And there's bowls of sweet in front of me. I feel like I should write keto on my hand to stop me from reaching out for a Twix.
Don't worry, we'll slap you.
Do you know what I did? I put fried egg. So fried egg, bacon, cheese, and then the fried egg underneath like it's a sandwich.
Oh.
And then the hot pepper sauce.
The problem is, right, I'm really awkward.
That sounds nice.
I don't eat egg. I really can't eat. I don't know what it is. I physically can't eat egg. I was going to eat an egg on camera just to show what happens when I eat an egg, but I thought it would be really gross because I just literally...
Oh, no, don't.
So, keto for me is going to be quite difficult, but there are ways around it. We'll get there.
You'll have to have tins of tuna.
Did you guys have a great New Year? Did you?
I did, thank you, yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I didn't do much on my birthday as such. My birthday was New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was 33.
Belated happy birthday.
I'm celebrating it today, later on this evening.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's good. My little boy's New Year's Day. He's not been out celebrating. All I can hear is cake. All I can hear is cake. Right, so
obviously
Ben,
that's a hint.
So you're from Shrewsbury. You grew up around here, and from what I read from you in the Shropshire Star, it was quite a turbulent time for you. It quite difficult. Can we talk a bit about that? What was life like for you in Shrewsbury growing up?
Difficult. It's funny. Over Christmas, I had someone come back into my life. And do you ever used to ever have an auntie that was never your auntie, but you called her auntie or an uncle or something like that?
Yeah.
So she was my mum's best friend, and I put in a newspaper about being domestic abuse in my house, but I never mentioned my mum's name. So I'm quite happy now because all ties are off. Strings are cut now between me and my mum. So I never mentioned my mum's name, and she abused me as well. And I had a lot of people in my life denying that ever happened, i.e. my mum telling other members of the family, etc., etc. Sorry, I got that sweet.
It's all right. It's fine.
And my auntie Ali, I got on the phone. We come into contact. It must have been about 20 years. She was like my mum, and she told me that your abuse happened from the age of 8, and she witnessed it.
Yeah.
She had to take me away from my house, from my mum and stepfather at the time, from the house. I used to wean myself. She'd seen me one day in the corner of the bedroom where I had actually soaked the whole bed, and I was curled up in a ball, crying. And so I feel now, I've just requested the information from Shropshire, from social services, because I used to have a social worker who has, again, recently come back into my life. And I'm going to get copies of them information, and I'll be passing it around the family.
Because that must be like some sort of vindication for you, because you'd be telling people this is what's happened to me, and people be like, no. Yeah. So this is proof. This is what happened to me. This is why I'm the way I am.
Yeah. And my mum's never denied my stepfather doing anything, but she's played it all down, and she's never ever said that she was partly to blame for this.
Yeah.
And also my auntie Ali, she doesn't mind me talking about her anyway, because I've spoken to her. But she said that the abuse that they had received as well, for me being of colour, in Shrewsbury, they had their houses spray painted with swastikas, they had their cars bricked, house windows bricked and all that. Obviously, I wouldn't have known that, because I was a child, I was a baby. But they suffered loads of abuse. Yeah. But I was in a lot of my Auntie Ali's and my nan and granddad's care. My mum's not a very maternal woman. So I seek even to this age now, I seek a lot of love and attention off people. Yeah. But yeah, life was difficult in Shrewsbury. It was very difficult.
So you say, obviously, you're going to get hold of the paperwork from the relevant authorities and that, in terms of your... Sorry. Thank you. In terms of obviously letting the rest of the family know. So do you keep in contact with the rest of the family? No, but you still feel they need to now know? Yeah,
I've been asked why I'm doing it. And I feel like it's more of a, I just sort of want them to open their eyes a little.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I live with my nan and granddad. All my aunties and uncles know why I live with my nan and granddad. Yeah. So, but my mum was very good at diverting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And covering things up.
And, you know, it's really hard to do that. We were talking about, we did a talk on mental health a while ago. And we were talking about how family is perceived to be this thing that you have to stay close to. It's like inbuilt into you, but you don't have to. But it's really hard to do that, isn't it? It's really hard to rip off that Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you have to do, because these are, like, in your circumstance, these are negative influences in your life.
Toxic, isn't it?
You feel like you have to have around you, but if you'd have known from a young age that you could just step away from that, would you have?
Yeah. My Alison had to actually walk away from me when I was coming into my teens. So she was telling me on the phone. My partner was crying her eyes out, because my partner also was someone that didn't believe fully that the extent that it happened. And I was telling her, well, why would I lie about this? And then she's heard it from my social work, my old social work, and then she's heard it from someone that was actually with me from dot one, and she was crying her eyes out and saying, I apologise for everything that for me not to believe you. And I said, this is what's been going on throughout my life anyway.
This is great. When people walk past,
it's all right. That's so distracting, because people do.
We like
the big glass doors.
I love that people walk past and have a gander at what's going on in here, because
even though the sign says recording in progress.
Yeah, but with the Shrewsbury Biscuit, it's expected. A young person growing up in a town, regardless of what town it is, having these things happen to them and not understanding how or what to deal with it, and having to go through school, having to be expected to be there on time, do your homework, be good, and not get into trouble. It was hard for you, I imagine.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I'm not labelling myself, but I'm black, and do you know what I mean? I'm of colour, so in a town that's predominantly white. It was even more of a struggle, because I was having to try and fit in everywhere. Yeah. And I didn't fit in. My mum didn't know how to dress me as a black person. I had an afro that she used to comb back, and I looked like half Asian, half Jamaican. Do you know what I mean? It was, and I wore shoes that weren't the fashion shoes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I was constantly bullied.
Yeah.
Was there anybody at school in terms of like a teacher that you felt you could talk to? Did you?
Not in. I can't remember in infant school as much. Primary school, I can't remember. In secondary school, there was a teacher. Mr. Mackenzie. I had a lot of. I only went to his lessons when I was in secondary school. There was obviously something that he was doing right for me to be going to them classes, but he was the only teacher that I sort of respected. And I've seen him a few years back, and it was really nice seeing him. And he was like, I can't believe how much you've like turned your life around. But he was a teacher that I looked to and that. But it was all about the role models, my role models, and I was looking for that role model, and my role models in the end were not the role models that.
Yeah, and in your circumstance, I guess you're looking for, like you said, you're looking for those figures in your life.
Yeah.
And because you kind of don't know which direction. I'm putting words into your mouth now, but this is what I'm guessing. Like, you do look into the wrong places. The older guy that does things that you wish you could or you wanted to do. And was that what it was like for you, like following the older group of kids?
I was always with the older group. Yeah. I've always been, from a young age, I've always been, like my granddad, don't get me wrong, I love him. He, again, I'm going referring back to my Auntie Ali, but she said that yours and your granddad's bond was absolutely inseparable, and that's something that I can remember, and I still remember until the day he passed away. So he was my role model, but when I got to the secondary school side of things, and when things were getting to a vicious point in my household, there was no turning back. He was not I didn't look at him as my role model. I just looked at him as just my granddad.
Yeah.
But he was trying to guide me, but obviously I wasn't taking that on board.
Was that your mum's dad?
Yeah.
And was he aware of what was going on?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't know. I don't think he knew, from what I've been told. At the young age, he knew there was something going on between my mum and stepfather. Excuse me. And he knew that there was something going on. When I got older, obviously I had my voice then.
Yeah.
So like I knew what was going on, and I was witnessing what was going on, and I had the bruises and the effects on me. So I was then telling him what was going on. So I just used to stay there.
So what age was that then? Because like there's an age
from what I can remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when you can start voicing it, because like from what I work in a similar sort of. I don't want to talk too much about my work, but I'm in that sort of field, okay?
Yeah.
So I see a stage where people are like, they've got this voice, they've got this urge to say something, but they've got full of testosterone and no direction, so they just start screaming and shouting, and nobody can make much sense of it. Like, how is it for you being angry, wanting to talk about what's going on, but people telling you couldn't, you know?
That's a funny one. I think I just let my anger out through violence.
Yeah.
That was it. There was nothing other than... I did explain to my granddad, but I explained to him in angry terms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was very He was the most understanding person I could have ever met. He was my God. Do you know what I mean? I looked at him as Jesus and that. And but the way I took my frustrations out was through violence and that.
Yeah. What will you guys get up to then, knocking about around Shrewsbury?
Well, at the start, when I used to live with Grandad, it was around Springfield, so it was nothing big around Great Springfield that time. We were just little kids. We were messing around, chucking stones at people's windows and that. That was the minor things. Do you know what I mean? And then breaking into cars and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I started moving different. I moved back from Springfield to Greenfields, and then I started getting around doing the estate things and whatnot, and that's when we used to have like Monkmoor, Castlefields, Divrington, Sundorne. We used to have like loads of estate like fights and that. I still don't know why we did it, but we did it. And there was loads of things used, weapons. This is what I mean about knife crime. Knives were always around when I was a kid. I used to always carry one at school. Do you know what I mean? There was kids at meal breaks that used to carry knives. It was a thing that we did.
Why? Was it a protection thing or just a status thing?
A status thing, I think.
Yeah.
And then I carried it at the start to cut up, like, resin. When I had drugs and that was that for that time. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't for anything else. But as I was getting more angrier, it was used for something else. Do you know what I mean?
And you knew at the time that it was wrong to be carrying them things, or
I didn't care.
You didn't care?
No. Yeah. Obviously knowing now, but there was no, like I said before, when I hit that age of revolting against my mum and stepdad, because I was abused, but then I become the abuser, so I started lashing back out at them, and there was no going back for me then. So I didn't really care.
But I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because you hear that quite a lot. Because obviously you're looking for a release.
Yeah.
You're of an age where there's all sorts of the different hormones running through your body as well.
Yeah.
Will send you off. Any young lads of a certain age go in a certain direction, don't they? But on top of that, if you've had the background that you've had, and then you're seeking sort of like. Not solace, but you're seeking of a way of release. Yeah. You'll probably get an affirmation from the group that you're with.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong, the lads that I hung around with, not all of them, but some of them now I love to bits, do you know what I mean? They're still like my family, my boys and that. Yeah. A lot of that, some of them now have turned their lives and doing their own things, doing like they're all family guys and all that now. Some are still in prison, some are dead. Do you know what I mean? So it's some have turned their lives, some haven't, and I choose to stick with the people that turn their lives around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really. I speak a lot with young people that struggle to release themselves from those negative. The people that kind of egg them on to do these things. You're coming out tonight, man. Da, da, da. Let's go and do this. Let's go and do that. We've got to do that. It's really hard to separate yourselves from those people because this is your town, man. You don't know. I mean, you almost got to pick up your bags and move to the next town to be able to do that, and that's really difficult for a young person. Yeah. Yeah. So is that what it was for you? I
had to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. I read that in the paper. Yeah.
I had to leave town. I've heard it on Facebook. People had said he got run out of town and all that. No one would run me out of anywhere. Yeah. I chose to leave because I knew that the environment for me was not good. Yeah. It might not be Birmingham, might not be in Handsworth or Aston, or Toxteth in Liverpool, but at the same time, things that people don't realise, i.e. the modern. I know it sounds. Modern class people that live in the nice houses around wherever don't realise what is actually going on
in the streets and stuff. And what is going on? What can you tell people that's going on in a not in a way to kind of rub it in their face or to be like this is, but to inform people this is what's going on in your town. This is what you need to know about what's going on here.
There's knife crime. Yeah, there is knife crime. There's county lines. I know this county lines have been going on since probably about 2009, I think, for about 10, 11 years. I know this due to just knowing it. And it's
scary. The county line thing is scary.
I came across that because I'd over summer, for the first time, I've never done this before, but I'd sort of jacked in my job in May and wanted to do something really different. And during the summer period, I worked with the National Citizenship Scheme. Yeah. So I worked with 15 to 17-year-olds, and I had to go on quite a few courses, and one of the courses was county lines, and I'm like, I've got no idea what this is. And then obviously when they started telling us, I was like, oh my God, does this really happen? Yeah. And then when I started engaging with the 15 to 17-year-olds and hearing the stories and coming, some of them were opening up to us because we weren't family, they were away from home for a week on a campsite. And a lot of them were opening up to us, and it really opened my eyes up to that age group and what they're going through now.
It's younger than that. You're talking about 10-year-olds. Yeah. Do you know what when I do these anti-knife crime workshops and stuff, kids are getting referred at the age of 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can believe it.
I don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about. Well, I can talk about this because it was an open conversation yesterday that I had, with someone. But there was a kid had been taken off the streets at the age of 11. Not taken off the streets, but had a blade on him, and he was like a big blade in Telford, and he was 11. Do you know what I mean? So
understandable, and this is the scary thing, and it's the indoctrination of county lines that kind of it's hard when you got kids that don't have a lot. They grow up without a lot. You know? I was a kid without money growing up, and I know what it's like. If I was a kid when I was that age and somebody said, "Do you want a PlayStation 2?" I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, but to have that, you need to do something for me." You know?
Yeah.
And you don't realise that, you know, what you're doing is you're building yourself up to become.
Yeah.
But there is exploitation, isn't it? 'Cause this is where I sort of discovered from the training that they are preying on certain individuals, aren't they?
Yes.
They're preying on kids that have had problem backgrounds because they can recognise that quite easily, apparently.
So they usually go for kids that have got troubled backgrounds, children looked after children, kids that have been excluded. That's why I have a massive thing about children getting excluded. I was excluded all the time from school, and what I was doing when I was leaving school, I was going to sell drugs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the people that I used to hang around with probably didn't even know they were exploiting me, because they were being exploited themselves. And then when I grew up, I was obviously exploiting other people to try and get them to sell drugs for me. Do you know what I mean? So we were blind to it, but as we've got older and we've learnt more about it, then you realise, I was probably
Is it a rank thing though? Is it something you have to do? Is there certain steps you got to go to move up a rank? So like
you do. I think that happens now. Like I think that they're numbered. I think, and that's in the cities. I'm not sure whether they brought it. They do it around Shrewsbury and Telford, but I think that's a city thing where you have the ranks. But obviously, the people that I used to hang around with sold bigger weight than I sold.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? But I was still selling a fair bit.
Yeah.
But I was more. My tendencies were more violence than drug selling. I was terrible at selling drugs.
you were like the enforcer then, I guess.
Basically, I was terrible at selling drugs.
But then again, I suppose that's it. Somebody's seen where else your strengths lie.
Yeah.
Use you in a different way.
Yeah, and they did, and they knew if something happened, they would I could guarantee they were like, yeah, Butler's got our back. We know that he's there. He'll do it. Like, and I can guarantee none of them to this day would deny that.
Well, look, I mean, like we've just spoken about county lines because us three know what county lines are. In a nutshell, what is county lines? Just for the people listening that aren't aware of what it is.
And there'll probably be a lot of them.
Yeah. So basically, it's is where you're getting sent on a train or wherever, usually on a train to a different county where it's smaller than the cities, because obviously people in cities, everyone's treading on everyone's toes. Do you know what I mean? So people venture out, so they're like, right, we need to make more money. We can make more money in this this town here. So we'll send a couple. Keep grabbing that. Don't I?
Don't worry about it.
Usually the springs that people get.
They'll send like some kids to a house or a flat that is not owned or rented by a drug user, and they will sit in that house for a week or two, and they'll be given a phone, and they'll meet the dealers, and they'll give the drug users drugs to allow them to stay there. Yeah. And they'll just ferry drugs in and out the house.
Yeah.
They could be there for a few weeks, they could be there for a few months.
And there's the cuckooing aspect.
I was going to say, isn't that the cuckoo addresses?
Yeah,
the cuckooing
like trap houses and that.
Yeah, so if somebody owes money or someone's vulnerable or something, they'll say, we're going to use your house.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it? They use the house of, well, that's it. You were using your house, mate.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, and that's quite sad. You know, someone's got their house that it might be their pride and joy, but you got no choice but to say yes.
And it's on people's doorsteps. People don't realise. I can't talk too much, but there's a trap house 4 doors away from me. Do you know what I mean? And the police have raided it now, and like my kids have to see that. Do you know what I mean? My kids have to witness these young people ferrying these drug users into this house and that, and my kids are walking past and seeing it. Do you know what I mean?
What age was you when you had this like turning point of, I need to get out of town, I need to turn my life around, and I need to do something different? What?
I didn't. When my twins were born, after I split up with the mother of my twins, I got with now who's my ex-wife. It was that turning point of joining the army and stuff. But don't get me wrong, like I needed to get out of the town, but my anger and mental health followed me.
Yeah.
So in the army, I was an absolute nightmare.
I imagine.
I was a nightmare.
What was that like for you, from having no rules, doing your own thing?
God, yeah, that's fully disciplined, isn't
discipline.
it?
Well, I'm autistic.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So I got diagnosed in 2017 with autism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's a lot of my behaviours that I can actually sort of say, do you know what? This is probably why I was like
That's
this.
why that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Like, but I'm not excluding what my parent and a fella did at the time, or like how I was brought up. But it does make me realise that some of my behaviours at school possibly were due to the fact
Very
that I was.
linear.
And school Waitman and meal brace at that time. I don't know what meals like now, but it weren't very structured. Like not for the kids that were running wild anyway. But yeah, that was probably my turning point. I keep hitting that thing.
There you go.
It's probably when the army, but again,
How long were you in the army for?
just under 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so quite a while then.
yeah. But again, like I said, my violence and mental health followed me, and there was a time where I there was an incident with a person that I know, and it was in Bristol, and that just was I resorted back to my old ways on the streets. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's lucky that nothing come of it, because I could have been in prison for a long time.
I was going to say the red caps are far less lenient, aren't they, than normal coppers?
Back then, I mean, compared to now, is it all too easy just to slip back into that routine, or is it easier for you now just to have that bit more restraint?
It's still hard.
Yeah.
Like it's always going to be hard. I think I'm strong enough now, but because I've always got that. There's always a side in there. Like there's always that side of like someone that if I've done it for like that was my life for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
You need 20 years of not doing it, I guess, don't you, for it to form in a habit that way.
And like don't get me wrong, I do not think about going back out and doing this and doing that. I've got a full-time job. I've got my own business. I'm making legitimate money, and I've got.
You're doing amazing things, and this is why I got you on the show.
Thank you.
And this is like I saw your story, and it really touched me straight away. And I saw the same day I saw that story is the same day I messaged you on Twitter because I was like, I need to get this guy on, because it's really important to show people that. Yeah, Ben's been a bit of a scallywag. He's done some things in his time, but
Scallywag, I heard that for ages.
But you've turned your life
Very
around.
old-fashioned.
Not only have you turned your life around, and people might be scoffing, going, "Oh, well, he's just doing what we're supposed to be doing," but you're actually helping young people realise the signs. And let's talk about new generations and where this all came from.
Right. Okay. So, my full-time job is I look after children in care, when I left the army, I went to school. I left school with no qualifications, nothing. I had to redo everything in the army. My GCSEs. I'd done my driving license. I'd done telecom communications and that. I could have laid fibre optics for BT and all that. So I was proper on it in the army, just getting qualifications. And then I'd done my personal training. And it was a day. I do a lot of charity work for the Band of Brothers. Mm-hmm. All right. For Help for Heroes and that. So I do like Tough Mudders, 10Ks and that. And some bloke come round, he had to help me with something. And you know them gaming vans that you see kids go on?
Yeah.
With the Xboxes and PS4s and that. Yeah. Well, he owns that. And he said like the army had helped him get funding to start his own business and that. So I started looking at it, and then my partner was like, why don't you just go self-employed? Because it means that you owe money. You're going to have to pay him back. And I was like, because I needed to use I've got personal training skills and I've got life experience skills. So I was just thinking I can use this somehow to do something. And at first it was called New Generation Fitness. And then I think me and my partner again discussed it, and it was like, well, it shouldn't be New Generation Fitness, because that's just to a certain, like you're just directing that to a certain group of people. And she was like, why don't you call it New Generation Coaching? And I thought, and it is because I coach, do you know what I mean? It's not, I don't just do the fitness side of things. I do the mentoring with the kids, and I do a load of different things with my stuff. And that was where it come from. It come from the bloke that turned up and said, why don't you use use your qualifications and do something, because you've obviously got life experience before the army when you went to prison and stuff like that. Why don't you do that? And I was like, yeah, I might do that.
I love that. I love that so much. I really do, because you I've got so much respect for people that go into work with support, support workers, social workers, people that are trying to help people. Because I always explain to people with whom I work that you can't do a job like that unless you really care. No. But there are people out there that have valuable life experience that you can't get from university.
Yeah, exactly.
That you can't get from work, and you've got that. You can spot the signs, I bet, directly just from the way someone walks. I imagine you can straight away, and that's the same way County Lines works. Is they look at people and they're like, target. But you have the distinct opportunity to be able to not offer people bad things to do, but to give them the advice to get away from it. You know? And how's that been for you?
I love it. Like I love the kids, man. Like they're my bread and butter. This what I do is my bread and butter. When you go, I never knew what I wanted to do when I left school. I just knew that I was on the streets and I was doing what I was doing. I didn't have any goals, future aspirations, and that. Yeah. And it's sort of bread and butter. I just love interacting with them. I like seeing what they're doing. I love,
yeah, and I felt that. I went from chasing shoplifters at Asda to helping people. No, but the thing is, with what I was doing was, I went from waving my finger in front of some teenager who's going through this terrible time in their life.
Who's going to take no notice of you whatsoever.
It's more the fact that I felt a lot of empathy for these guys. I had one of my shoplifters from Asda at my wedding. I swear to God, he was at my wedding, because I love these people. They were good people, and they were at the wrong stage of their lives where they felt like they had to steal. There was a guy, I won't mention his name, and I got to be careful. I don't care if I get into trouble. He was stealing sandwich because he was homeless and he's hungry because his parents kicked him out. I told him to have the sandwich, go away, and just don't steal on my shift ever again, because I felt for these people. And then when I got given the opportunity to try and help these young people, it just felt like a calling. It felt like, this is the point I'm trying to make with you, Ben, is that it felt just so right. It just felt like it was what I was made to do.
Yeah.
Is to sit and to help listen, just to be there, because sometimes just being nice, just being a nice guy and listening to people is all that these guys want.
Sometimes they just want you to listen a lot of the time.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's what I wanted, someone to listen to me. But I went to a talk in Preston. He's a good friend of mine. It's his birthday next week, so happy birthday, Byron.
Happy birthday, Byron.
Happy birthday, buddy.
But I went to one of his talks and that, and it's mad how engaged, you see other kids engaging, he's got the love, do you know what I mean, the passion. And when you're with people that have got the love and passion for the same thing you do, I feel like once you're all together, we could smash it, do you know what I mean? And the kids love it, they thrive off that, and I knew that's what I wanted. And my old social worker come with me to this talk, and it was mad how me and him come into contact. He just emailed me out the blue, and he was my old social worker, and he come with me at the talk, but he said to me, I'm really sorry that I didn't do anything more, because I wasn't above their threshold in social services. I wasn't getting sexually abused, and because I wasn't opening up to him and wasn't telling him exactly what was going on, he couldn't really do anything. So it was like a case closed thing. I think I'd seen him for about a year or so, 6 months to a year.
But that's the interaction thing, isn't it? I mean, young people, they've got to be at that stage where they kind of realise they need a bit of help. Because when you're rebellious and you're young, you just want to go out there and do it. You don't care. You really don't care. And it's when you're at that stage where you're like, can someone help me? I need to make a change in my life. That's the point when you can grab them and be like, this is what we can do.
They've got to recognise it then, don't they?
Yeah, they need to recognise it, because sometimes you actually have to let the kid go through that stuff. Do you know what I mean? I had to pay the consequences for my actions. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though stuff was going on and it had gone on, but I was just my reactions weren't the reactions of the Lord. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I had to pay the price for it. But again, I do blame the police to a certain extent, because the police knew what was going on in my household, but there was they weren't supporting me. There was Do you know what I mean? They were just constantly arresting me all the time.
Yeah, because that's all they do is react, don't they, to situations, and they sometimes don't react in the right ways at all.
No. The way I see it is, I mean, I've got a mixed relationship with the police. I work well with the police. I work with the police, and I know they don't always get it right. I know they don't. And that's because these guys aren't qualified support workers or social workers. They don't understand what's going on in your life, because all they're paid to do is to go out and catch criminals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's their job. Yeah. And then the support workers and social workers, they kind of pick up the mess afterwards.
But they usually pick it up at the later on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
when it's too late, sometimes.
I do think police need to be more. There needs to be more. There needs to be more qualifications.
Yeah.
The police need to have. It might all be well and good looking at these county lines and all that, but there needs to be. They need to look at how to help support kids that are going through a tough time at home and stuff like that. But to be fair, there are because I work alongside the police as well. And my perception still hasn't changed, because I'm still, but there are some police officers there that have done nothing but support me and help me, and they do, and that's the police that these kids need if they are struggling. Them sort of police, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you probably have got the opportunity now through New Generation Coaching to be able to perhaps link in. I know that you've got the whole establishment higher up pretty much structures and tells the police what they have to do and how they do it. Yeah. But if you've got some people at the lower level that you can engage with, and between you start trying to influence, and even if it's just like, one police station or one group try and do something, that might, it might take years and years and years and years until someone in authority somewhere in the government decides to change how they operate. And like you say, the qualifications that they should actually have to support basically how society is now, because society is so different now to what it used to be. Yeah,
definitely. We do like the Steer Clear Knife project
tell us more about that. Yeah.
Okay, so last Friday of each month we do a Steer Clear Knife Prevention workshop where kids that have been referred by Youth Offending Services or YSS come in, and it's usually at Derby House in Telford, and they come in either on their own or with their parents or with their carers or whatnot, and I'll do my talk about my life experiences. There's a young person that's from Shrewsbury. He was stabbed 7 times, I think, in Birmingham. He's now in a wheelchair. So his mum actually has to do the talk for him because he can't. He's only just started to learn how to talk.
That's so sad.
And he's only a local lad. He's from Shrewsbury himself. So his mum does the talk, and then the police do their talk. They talk about the professional talk. And then we'll have a paramedic who comes and does his talks about witnessing death and through knife crime and things like that, and how to sort of protect yourself, like how you would bandage yourself up if you had been stabbed. And then we'll do like questions and all that, and do you know what I mean? We'll do some questions, and the kids are really good. They interact really well, and I think a lot of the families and all that, the parents come back thinking, oh wow, this is actually happening. Do you know what I mean? And
it's that first-hand experience. You're physically, like in a situation like that, you're seeing these things for yourself. You're seeing them in front of you. Whereas it's easy just to put your foot up on the footstool, watch TV, and ignore what's going on around you.
Yeah.
But there are people out there trying to help, like yourself, but there are not enough people going out there trying to help.
I was going to say another person. I don't know if you link in with it. And I can't think of her name. You're aware of the Knife Angel? Yeah. Do you link in with, because it's a group of parents, isn't it, that sort of, I know that obviously the Ironworks Centre moved the Knife Angel around to different cities, obviously to expose, the sort of, there they are right in front of you, been made into a stunning sculpture, but this is what it's all about. Have you linked in with them at all?
Yeah, I forgot my leaflets. So I'm doing, well, not me on my own, but Rebecca Blount from Recharge in Telford, who's godmother to my daughter. Her Trademark Blood, who's a rapper from Telford, and myself are doing the Knife Angels coming to Telford in March 2020. So we've been funded to do a 10-week music and graffiti project. So it started It started yesterday, so we're getting kids from Telford area, from the age of 12 to 21, to come in. Trademark Blood. He's an absolute amazing rapper, and he's a very humble guy. Worked with people like KRS-One and all that. So like he's done big things.
Wow.
So like he's getting these kids to get on a track, like an anti-knife crime rap track.
Yeah.
And then we're also doing a graffiti project. There's a bloke called Monmar from Manchester who's a graffiti artist. He's graffitiing some stuff. And
I know some people that are connected with Birmingham that do graffiti. Is it High Vis?
Yeah, I know High. Yeah, the High Vis. Yeah.
I have to get message them, get them involved.
Yeah. But it's going. We've got our own YouTube channel. Rebecca set that up. We're going to get it on. We're going to get the track onto BBC Radio Shropshire. Yeah. We're going to try and get. It's a 10-week project for kids aged between 12 and 21, and it's literally getting these kids to do something. It's anti-knife crime, but it's not. That Knife Angel is not just about knife crime. It's about violence and about. People forget about the Knife Angel doesn't just represent knife crime, it represents violence and stuff like that.
And there's a broad spectrum of it as well, whether it's DV or domestic violence, whether it's drug related, whether it's youth, whether it's there's so much going on that it needs to be addressed. Yeah, and this is why I got you on the show. Okay, you're from Shrewsbury. This is all Telford based, but this is talking about what's going on in the Shrewsbury streets. Like, it's really important for the whole country, the county, the town, everything that's going on. You need to know what's going on and ways to try and help these people. Because what would you say to anybody that's listening to this now, that they rock around with their mates with knives, they're running drugs around town, and they're feeling that invincible stage in their life that you know about. What would you say to them?
Well, they ain't invincible. It's not Call of Duty. You know what I mean? You don't get respawned. Yeah. What they need to remember is there's only two ways: death or jail. That is it. You'll die or you'll go to jail, or you'll die and you'll get killed in jail. You're not going to live happily ever after. You ain't going to be Pablo Escobar in your £70 million pound mansion. He's dead now anyway because he got shot. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Eventually, so people that. It doesn't end well. So like if you think that you're going to go around thinking you're hard with a knife, just they're more likely to have the knife used on them, and what they need to remember is, are they actually going to pull, if you've got a knife and you use it, then you need to remember that the consequences of what's going to happen, it's either going to be you're going to be killed or you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life, and then your parents ain't going to see you, your grandparents ain't going to see you, your kids not going to see you. Do you know what I mean? Or you might be buried 6 feet under, and then your parents are going to go through having to deal with the aftermath of you losing a child, whether it's a female or their son. And then they've got brothers and sisters. It's a ripple effect, and then that for them could be the brother or sisters had their brother murdered or their sister murdered.
There's the retaliation thing as well.
Retaliation, chain reaction. It could be a retaliation thing, or it could be the opposite, and they could end up committing suicide.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the effects are far-reaching, aren't they?
Yeah,
it is.
I know you're saying obviously it's not Shrewsbury-based, but do you get referrals from Shrewsbury, or is it literally just for Telford what you deal with?
I would deal with people from Shrewsbury, like. The YSS, the people that I deal with I think it's the Shrewsbury Telford YSS anyway, so whatever referrals they give me. Then the police give me referrals. I don't really say no to anyone.
Have you
had many success stories that you can't talk about, can't mention names, but things that spring to mind?
I could mention a lad that wouldn't care that I mentioned his name, and he was the kid that I actually looked after in care. Okay. Cayman, he's left care now. I was his key worker for 2 years. He turned up 14.5 stone. He's fat. He's a fat little boy, and he was just getting arrested. He was a menace, little menace, and I sort of plugged hard at him. And I was his key worker. He went to 10.5 stone. He started boxing. He's left now. He's doing construction in Wigan. He lives with his girlfriend and that, and he does boxing up in Wigan. And my mate from Manchester, who's a bodybuilder, he's just started getting him onto. He's setting him a bodybuilding program up, and he's getting into his bodybuilding.
Oh wow!
And I speak to him every day now. Like I speak to Cayman every day. He wished me happy birthday on New Year's Eve. I speak to him over Christmas. He was my little success story, and he wrote me a letter which I've still got to this day to thank me of how much like I'd stuck by him due to his.
And you were just a contact, someone to speak to for him, I guess.
And I was just there. I was constant. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I got him onto the healthy living plans, like because he was eating rubbish food. He was eating a loaf of bread every day. Yeah, he was ridiculous. But I was getting him onto like the healthy living stuff, and just try to give him a bit of a positive mindset, and that he was worth more than what he actually thought he was worth.
Well done, well done. Seriously, well done. I mean,
Thank
like. Out of our lifetimes, if we can help like a couple of people, I think you've done well. I mean, Ryan, who I mentioned, went to my wedding. He was a little yob that used to come into town in Telford and wind up the guards. And he was at the stage of life with invincible, didn't care. He was only living for today, not tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he would be banned from the store, but I'd still let him come and talk to me and stuff. Could tell me about how his day was and things like that. He still to this day calls me dad. I'm only 33. He calls me dad, like, you know. That was. Sorry, I forgot to put that on. Sorry, that's not very professional of it, is it? So to people that do, sorry, Julie, to take someone and guide them through those difficult parts, congratulations. Because
it's really admirable, really admirable.
Thank you.
Probably need more of you. You need to be cloned by the sounds of it now.
Yeah.
And there needs to be more of you.
Yeah. Have you coached more coaches? That's have you brought somebody in to help you that can do something similar to what you do?
So I was recently in contact with Dean Harris. In fact, this is mad, right? So she's going to be nominated High Sheriff of Shrewsbury. Yeah.
Okay.
So I went for a coffee with her just before we broke up for Christmas. She's actually a magistrate, and she actually can remember sending me to Stoke Heath. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. And she said, I can remember you in magistrates, but she didn't go into too much detail. But I'm looking at trying to get fun, like, because I'm a one-man band, I'm self-employed. I've got loads of dreams and aspirations. I've got so many things that I want to do within my company and my business. So to have coach people or to have volunteers as such on board, I need to be funded where I can give up my full-time job.
Yeah.
Because what I do 2 days on, 4 days off. The 4 days off on my business, and the 2 days on is work. So I would like to then have 5 days where I'm doing my business.
Yeah.
And she's looking at hopefully getting me funded, so I could hopefully coach.
Yeah.
Coach
wow,
people.
Amazing.
Because are you classed? So if it's your own business, so I'm guessing you're not classed yourself as a charity then.
No.
So because if you took charity status,
is it CIC? Is it
you'd be that's you've got me there.
Yeah.
I know that if you can get charity status and get yourself registered as a charity, you obviously can get loads of different funding and support. Then I mean, if you're getting it this way, but that might be a way to start.
Yeah.
Because the moment you get that charity status, you can then, the flood doors will open on funding.
This year's going to be a big year for me.
Yeah.
And last year was me breaking up, breaking off the ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This year's me running. Do you know what I mean?
Growth.
The growth, and it's going to be I want a youth club, and I know there's a lot of talk about youth clubs, whether it's a positive or negative. Thing.
I think they need to change the name for youth clubs. I think there needs to be a more positive name.
It's a very old-fashioned name.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if youth centre sounds a bit prisony, doesn't it? Youth centre, but I see what you mean. A place for young people to go to get help.
Yeah. But it's just I've got a lot of experience with other things like street stuff that I did. And I know that it could be a hub for county lines. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
I have to.
Got to be careful.
Exactly, and I'm going to be very suave with how I'm going to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? So that I have got big dreams of a youth club, and it's not only just a youth club. I want my own office. I want my own I want my workers. Do you know what I mean? I want. There's so many things that I can so I can reach out to more kids because I can't do it all by myself. Do you know what I mean?
Have you got? Forgive me because I haven't had a chance to check yet. But have you got a Facebook page?
No, Have you
got a website?
No, this is another thing. Dean Harris is looking at.
Yeah.
I've been in, because I'm very good friends with Matt and Andy Smith from Smash Life UK. They're good friends. I've known them since I was a kid anyway. So like, they've put me in contact with their website designer. Dean Harris was like, can you get me a quote, etc., and just leave it with me. So
Perfect.
She's
Perfect.
Gonna do that for me.
The way we did it is we got in touch with the guys from Web Orchard. How's it going, Web Orchard? Thank you very much for what you do for us, because we said to them, like, if you help us out with a website, we'll promote you on our show, which is what I've just done. So if anybody wants a website built, go to Web Orchard. But, sometimes if you say we will sponsor you, you can put things up on our wherever we're going or whatever, they might help you out with a bit of sponsorship on it. Because
once you've got like a website or a Facebook page, people can then start following your progress. I know you've probably got to be careful, haven't you?
Yeah, I won't do Facebook.
No, and I totally understand why. So you've probably got to think, the website's probably your safest way for people to sort of like engage, see what you're doing, support you through that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be far less negative, a potentially far less negative approach that Facebook would have.
Yeah.
Because it's all and sundry can get on there, and then that's just it opens up all the wrong. Yeah, you don't want to go there.
Facebook for me is the root of all evil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I deleted that. I deleted my Facebook, I think about 6 years ago.
Yeah, wise move.
never going back.
Yep, wise move.
See, social media is both a blessing and a curse at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, people wouldn't know about who we are if it wasn't for things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. But at the same time, that for people like County Lines is a catalogue.
Yeah, of course it is.
And of course, it's easy to just pick up your phone and go, "You're a tit." And then just to, send that message from like a million social justice warriors, all these people that just throw up trolley stuff. It's a virus, it's a curse, and I feel like they need to police it a bit better, because there's so many people out there being hurt on social media that it needs to be dealt with.
Well, people don't realise it does that. Like, whether you work, I'm again, I've got autism, so when I get angry. Yeah. I can say things that are it's not very nice, do you know what I mean?
There's
and
no filter.
No filter. And it's something, obviously I seek therapy. I've got therapy today at 2:30. So like, I obviously have to try and manage how I react and say things to people. It's going to be a long process, but it makes me feel like people don't realise what they're saying on social media to someone as the effect to the opposite, to the person that they're saying it to.
Yeah.
And it leads to people committing suicide.
It does, especially with people with autism, because you can't read context in something you send on a message. You can't really read the pronunciation.
Can't read the feelings, can you?
Yeah, exactly. So you might read that as just like oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Even the most innocent things. I mean, some people will send me an email sometimes, and I'll be like, huh? I mean, it's meant to be an innocent thing, but sometimes, your mind just runs from things.
I have to, when I write an email, I reckon so many people that I've spoken to, like professionals and that, just think I'm rude, but like, it's the way I talk.
Yeah.
And again, even in an email, you can't express your feelings in an email, can you?
No,
and it's not me coming across rude. So anyone that's listening to podcasts, I'm sorry.
I always remember.
Well, no, but that's the danger. I used to work in an office, and I was terrible for doing emails, because like, you just sometimes, if something happens, you're in anger, aren't you, as well?
Yeah.
But even if you're not, you've got a style of writing or a style of. I'm the same. I'll type how I speak.
Yeah, that's it.
What I say without really thinking.
Yeah.
But I was taught very quickly, after quite a sort of a bad sort of business mistake, do it, leave it in draft, come back to it a couple of hours later, and then you see it in a completely different way.
Really?
And you read, and I always do that now with every email I do. I'll leave it, not necessarily for 2 hours, because if they've got to be knocked out quite quick, but I'll leave it for at least 10 minutes. Then come back to it, like, oh, actually, no, I need to say that instead, or that way around. It does work, but it's a habit you got to form, because sometimes it's so easy just to go.
Yeah, I think I might have to take that on board, because I'm terrible.
I send messages sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, did I really just send that? Like yesterday, Julie's updated our calendar with days when she's not available, and I was like, our calendar now looks like it has shingles, Julie. I'll send that out. I'll show you, man. It's crazy. But yeah, sometimes you've got to really think about what you're going to say. Look at that. all that red.
No.
But it's not red because I've established that because it's Google Calendar. If you click on, yes, they look like I'm not free every single day, but if you click on it, it then just shows you the times of the day I'm not free.
My calendar's like that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it's something that I need to balance my working life and that.
Is this thing getting easier for you? Is there a routine being put in place, or is it really difficult? Like, especially this time of year when everybody's busy.
I've got a routine in my own head anyway. Again, like I'm autistic, so I'm very regimental. But that regimental and work ethic that I've got doesn't give me any time to have a balanced life. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and understanding of people that aren't autistic or not even have that kind of militant kind of look at things, like running things on schedules isn't always a priority for some people. But I see it as, oh, okay, it is what it is. We had a cancellation this morning. Oh, okay, whatever. But to some people that'd be like, you what?
Yeah.
You know, it must be really hard.
yeah. Well, like, it is hard. Like, this morning I had a bit of a banny with my missus. She had accidentally chucked my blue Chanel aftershave in the bin.
Oh, God.
Because it was a £60 bottle of aftershave, right? She thought it was empty.
Oh.
And it was because it was by somewhere that looked like it was rubbish. She chucked it because I was going out on New Year's Eve. I'd left it by something that she thought was rubbish. So,
oh dear.
For her, she's like, well, I've smashed my bottle of Chanel before and I didn't get annoyed with it. And I'm like, yeah, but I struggle with things like this.
You're not her. She's not you.
Exactly. So I'm going to have to order another bottle, but I was absolutely wounded today.
I'm really sorry for your loss, man. I mean,
R.I.P. Chanel.
well, Ben, thank you so much, not just for coming on the show. I mean, that's great anyway. That I would love to help you in March with what you guys do with the music and stuff like that. You've got our support. And I want to thank you for what you're doing for young people, because I'm being serious, like with the cuts that have been made to mental health facilities, youth centres being shut down, young people and mental health patients are under attack at the moment. They're losing funding left, right and centre. So it takes people going outside their threshold and thinking outside the box and using their initiative, like yourself. There are people out there doing things of their own accord to help people, and you're a hero. You are a hero.
I've never thought that before.
No, but it is. It is, and I think that's, you talk about the help for heroes and all that sort of stuff, but you're a hero for a different audience.
Thank you.
For different reasons, and for me, I think it's been you opening up, coming on this show, opening up, because we don't know who listens to the show. Could be anyone and everyone, but you've really been really, really honest, which I think some people can come and, they'll sugarcoat some bits and pieces.
I don't sugarcoat anything. And
no.
This is a thing where I've got told, I know you're obviously going to run out of time and that, but I get told that people get caught out, do you know what I mean, when they sugarcoat things. And I've said this from the start, i.e. with my mum and that. So, like, she sugarcoated it for 20 odd years. 30 years.
And it's really important because I don't think we should, these things are happening.
Yeah,
these things are happening. Tell people what's happening. Because the things get lost in translation, like you're saying. People get caught out, But guys, make sure you give Ben some support. Give him a follow on Twitter. You're on Twitter, aren't you?
Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, New Generation Coaching, and it was New Generation F7 on Twitter.
Cool. The more followers, the more people that are supporting a thing like that, it really does help with kind of the reputation of what Ben's doing. It's really important. Just remember, these young scallywags that are running around Shrewsbury, these are people with lives, they're people with things that are affecting them, and there are ways to help them, but we need to find out those ways of helping.
People understanding there's a reason why they are like they are and why they're acting like they are.
So thank you very much for coming.
No problem.
I wish you the best for having me on.
Thank you.
Guys, this has been a great episode. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me, Julie.
Yep, pleasure.
Yeah, I hope you guys have had a great Christmas and a great New Year. Thank you for coming back to us. If you want to check out our website, it's a great place where you can listen to our audio directly off the website. You can get in contact with us and check out what we're up to. Our website is www.the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast at... Sorry, we'll do that again, shall we? www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. Make sure you check us out. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thanking our sponsor.
And yeah, thank you to our sponsor of the month, which is Gin Different. We're very proud to be sponsored by Gin Different. They're a great place. You know, they've got the bar up in the market hall. They've got the pop-up bar, which they take around with them on festivals. Yeah. And if you've got that bottle of gin that you just can't buy in Asda or Tesco or whatever, they will order it in for you. So make sure you check out Gin Different.
I'm going there today.
Yeah, you should. Oh, actually, no, don't. They're closed until the 10th of Jan.
Right, okay, no worries. I'll have to just go to Asda.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day and peace out.
Cheers.